Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. This is the 2023 Honda Pilot LX. And we're going to answer the question in today's video, is this the most economical trim level? It does have a base price of $37,090. And while, obviously it's not the highest trim level, it does come with a lot of features for the money. A lot of interior space, a good bit of cargo capacity. It has an exterior color of crystal black with a gray interior. For those of you who are saying, you know what, I want something that is not a black interior. I'm not worried about having leather or leather trim seats. This does come with a cloth interior. But when you're looking to save some money, maybe you get the best bang for your buck, but still get some great features such as Honda Sensing, which is what this model has. That's going to include adaptive cruise control, road departure mitigation braking, lane keeping assist. All of those great features are here for the money. Let's dig in a little bit deeper and see what we can find. If you want to know more about this particular model, maybe you live in or around the Northwest Louisiana area and you might want to buy this particular Pilot, check out the link down in the description of the video. And you're going to find LED daytime running lights, automatic high beams, obviously the full redesign here that really gives the Pilot a nice look. It looks aggressive, it looks a little more sporty. And we'll have the active air curtains right here just to show you what's happening with the front end. You will find a little bit of chrome, so if you like that, well, that might be a good thing for you. Front wheel drive is going to be standard on all trim levels, but all wheel drive is available. If you go with the Elite or Trail Sport trim levels, then all-wheel drive will be standard in those particular cases with those two trim levels. Tire and wheel size will be 255 on the width. We're going to have a 60 series sidewall, and in the case of the LX trim level, 18-inch wheels. You will have power adjustable side view mirrors that are manually folding. You're going to have kind of a matte black or flat black finish, I should say. And here is the remote. Now keep in mind, this is going to be the low trim level here. So you're not going to have remote start. You're not going to have blind spot monitoring. But there are going to be people out there who are going to say, hey, that's no big deal for me. Not a problem at all. No roof rails, not a big deal necessarily. You will find the shark fin antenna and the rear roof spoiler to finish things off here. The rear window wiper is here. And while this is not a power tailgate, it does have dampened assist, so once you open it just a little bit, it's going to go ahead and finish up the job for you. That makes things nice and easy. And one thing that is definitely an advantage, no matter the trim level here with the Pilot, is the fact that right under here, you're going to find a spare tire. Across all trim levels, you will find the dual overhead cam. Honda V6, it makes 285 horsepower compared to 280 as we saw in the previous generation with the VTEC. It's mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And let's talk about those MPGs. By the way, 285 horsepower, 262 pounds-feet of torque. That number hasn't actually changed, but how about MPGs? 19 city, 25 highway, 21 combined, and 4.8 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. If you're curious to know, the gas tank size is 18.5 gallons. And towing capacity will depend on whether you have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. With front-wheel drive, 3,500 pounds. If you go to all-wheel drive, you can tow as much as 5,000 pounds. And we'll take a look here under the floor if I can get to this area. There we go. We'll get the cargo mat or the mat for the floor under or out of the way. Here is the cargo space that you have underneath the floor, and the good thing about it is that you can actually change this. Let's see if I can actually do this. Sometimes this is easier said than done, but let's see. Can I do it one-handed? I think I actually can. Okay, it's a good day. I was able to switch the floor. So you have a plastic side. You also have that carpeted side that we started out with, and there's a lot of advantages to that, depending on what you're hauling back here. If you don't want to get dirt or sand or whatever on the floor back here, you can flip this over. That helps out. You have a little bit of space on the side right here that's going to give some additional storage capacity. If I can help myself out and not get so tongue twisted. and even a little bit more over here. Now, obviously, this is a 3-row SUV, so why don't we hop inside and see how much space there is in the 3rd row. Real quick before we hop into the interior, I did want to show you a little trick. Obviously, you're going to use the release here to lower the seats down. Now, here's a little trick for you. You notice you have some Velcro right here, and you can put that in place right there so that when you go to raise these back up, depending on how tall you are, I'm 5'10", and I still had a little bit of trouble reaching the strap because it was actually flipped over the front of the seat, so that made it a little bit harder to reach, and that's why that Velcro is there to help out in that situation. And looking in through the driver's side door into the back seat area, you're going to have the upper and the lower door bins, a nice amount of storage capacity there. Also, a couple of options for square or round bottles or juice boxes or whatever anybody wants to put back here. The armrests are comfortable, and I like the fact that you can maximize your cargo space. We already showed what you can do in the rear with that, but you can also use this lever to lower the seats. All of the seats do fold flat. In this case, with the middle seat, you're going to pull that release, and you pretty much can use your imagination to figure out what everything else looks like in that respect as far as lowering all 3 seats. And for those wondering what you can do to work around maybe leg space in the back seat area in the 3rd row, well, you can actually have the middle row passengers move the seats back and forth a little bit. That is helpful. So there is an option there to be able to do that, to change things up a little bit. How do you gain access to the rear seating area? Well, you push that button. We still need to push that seat up just a little bit to gain access to this rear seating area. So, how much space is back here? This is with the seat all the way back. Now, for cruising around town for myself, yeah, this would probably be okay for a few minutes. For a multi-hour trip, not so much. I'd probably have to sit over here, and let's see how much more space that gives me. Still works out pretty well, but for me, I think I'd like to have a little more space. We might move this one up too. So, depending on trim level, you can actually take this completely out, but not on this particular trim level on the LX. But what you will find back here, additional cup holders and air conditioning vents. You have tri-zone climate. You do have single zone, or dual zone, I should say, climate control, dual zone in the front. You don't have any other areas to adjust the climate as far as control goes, but 3 different zones of climate. Hopefully that makes sense. And when it comes to getting back out of the rear seating area, well, if somebody forgets to hit the button on their way out from the middle row, you can hit that button on the back of the seats, and obviously makes it easy to get right out. And a little more storage on the back of the passenger seat, as you can see right there, dual air conditioning vents and USB connectivity back here. Now, like I said, you can't adjust the climate or the fan speed back here. That's all done from the front. But it is nice to know that everybody basically has their own air conditioning vent. We'll take a look into the front seat through the passenger side door. You can see, again, those upper and lower door bins, the comfortable armrest, and you will find on this LX trim level that you have manually adjustable seats for the driver and the passenger, but at least they're adjustable. We'll also have the space right here for, well, whatever anybody can fit into that area, and then we'll also have the plentiful space in the glove box. And if you're wondering what exactly is this is a wheel lock key. So if you needed to change a tire, I showed you have a spare tire with this vehicle. Here is the wheel lock right here. You can use the lug wrench for all of these, all 4 of those lug nuts right there, but you'll need this to be inserted into the lug wrench to be able to get the wheel lock off, just so you know. And the good thing about that is that these are specifically cut for your vehicle, or should I say maybe by the vehicle. So what that ultimately means is that somebody can't go onto eBay or Amazon or someplace like that and buy a wheel lock key and come steal your wheels. It's just not that simple. We will find some connectivity options here in the front, just like we did in the back, but the addition of a 12-volt power outlet, a couple of USB ports. Now you'll notice there's no wireless charging. Keep in mind, this is not a high trim level, so not a big deal. Maybe something that's not expected, or unexpected, I should say, as far as what's not there. You will find the push button shifter. Some of you like it, some of you don't. Sound off in the comments about which person you are. Here's your drive mode selector. You can turn off the auto stop start feature, or idle stop as some call it. Hill start assist, power parking brake, and brake hold mode along with your cup holders. And depending on where the seat is positioned and your height, this is actually pretty easy to deal with as far as using the center console lid for an armrest. So that works pretty well. I think it's in a pretty good position. Also, plentiful space within. And taking a look at the driver's side door, most likely everything you would expect to see here is what you see. You control the windows, you can lock the windows if you want to. Obviously lock and unlock all 4 doors. And the controls for your side view mirrors. And one thing I did not mention earlier about the side view mirrors, on the LX trim level, while they're power, they are not heated. I don't know if that's really that big of a deal. It just depends on where you live, or just personal preference. Now, if you wanted to attempt a front wheel drive burnout, well, turn traction control off and just go for it. You can drop the lever right here and adjust the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. And we'll reach over here and hit our push button start. Get the steering wheel out of the way so you can see what is going on with the digital dashboard. And quite a bit here. You're going to be able to know who has their seatbelt on and who doesn't. And if you hit the button a couple of times here, the home button right there, you can go to this screen and go through a lot of different information, gather up some details depending on what you want to see about your Pilot. Well, there's how you do that. And controlling the headlight functionality right here, you don't have fog lights, I only have the one switch right there. And by the way, this is a turn signal or blinker lever. Some of you know what that is and some of you don't. I know because I drive around you all the time. Here is the lever that I can't say anything funny or sarcastic about, but that's how you control your front and rear window wipers. And right here, this is going to be the 7-inch touchscreen. So you can go with the 7-inch, upgrade in trim level, you can go with the 9-inch. And depending on what you want to spend, well, on different trim levels, you're going to have a multitude of cameras. In this case, you do have the multi-view rear view camera. And that flickering effect you see right there, I have to say, that has nothing to do with Honda. That has to do with the shutter speed of my GoPro. It's a common issue no matter what the shutter speed is on a GoPro. So, just so you know, but here are the different views that you have available. Obviously, you can pair your phone and do all that good stuff, go into settings. A pretty simplistic system, but for those who are maybe saying, you know what, I don't want a lot of technology, this is a good option for you. And like I said, here's your dual zone climate control. Here on the LX trim level, that's a good thing. You're still going to have a lot of great features. If you want to turn on the rear climate control area or the rear air conditioning or AC, you can do that. You can go into your settings right here, so we can hit that button and then we can push this, and that lets you go in and change the fan speed, which is a little bit high right now. You can also change the temperature, and you're going to do that on the right hand side, and then you can push that and go back to the main controls here for the front seating area. You can sync the 2 sides together if you want to, or unsync those. Definitely a lot of options. Now, one thing you won't find here, no sunroof, which if it were a sunroof, it wouldn't be conventional size, it would be panoramic. For some people, that's a good thing, because I know not all of us like a sunroof. I'm about to order myself a brand new vehicle, and I am going to go with a kind of a mid-range trim level. It's not a Honda, by the way, but it's a GMC truck. But I am going to actually opt to not have a sunroof. By the way, what about driving modes? I showed you the drive mode selector. Let's see what we have with our driving modes. You have Econ, you have Snow, you have Tow mode, and then we'll go back up. We're going to have Normal. Now you might say, wait a minute, we're Sport mode. You actually will go into Sport mode right here. So we push the button to go into Drive. That's going to put us in Drive, and then you can see the D down there on the dashboard right here on the instrument cluster. When I hit that button one more time, it goes into S. That's Sport mode. Okay, we're out on the road for the test drive with the all-wheel drive Pilot LX. As you know, obviously you can get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, so depending on your situation, well, you can order accordingly or just buy whatever's at the dealership. But one way or another, you're going to find that the Pilot is a very enjoyable SUV to drive. It has great handling capabilities for what it is. It doesn't mean that it's sports car-like or high-performance SUV-like or anything like that, but it does handle well. It has a fairly tight turning radius for what it is, and so it's fairly nimble. It drives well, it rides well. You can maneuver your way through tight spots if you need to, if you live in a large city. It's still a very easy to navigate through a lot of traffic or whatever the situation is with tight situations. So it really has a lot of advantages in a multitude of ways. Easy to see out of, at least for me. The technology here is easy to learn. Once you know it, very easy to use. It's really somewhat minimal where that's concerned, especially with the infotainment screen. But the good thing is that you still have a lot of modern conveniences and safety features, all the different things that are available today. It's still here, quite a bit for the money, in my personal opinion. I think you're really getting a lot for what you pay for, and obviously the price. You saw the price earlier in the video. I showed that at whatever point where I put the graphic in. I put that in different places in the video. But obviously that price can go down. Why? Because you have all-wheel drive in this case. Front-wheel drive is going to be less expensive. So quite a bit going on. Acceleration is good no matter which driving mode you're using. And while there are some things that it would be nice to be able to test if I could, such as having a little more in the way of weight in the interior, maybe a few more passengers, maybe some cargo, maybe even pull a trailer, just to see what it's like. What's the difference? But with just myself in the vehicle, all 175 pounds worth, it gets around with absolutely no problem. When it comes to acceleration, no big deal. And that is one thing that's definitely different, at least based on my personal experience, between the previous generation and this newer model. And that is due to the behavior of the new engine that's under the hood and made it to the 10-speed automatic transmission compared to the 9-speed. It just seems to accelerate a little more smoothly than it did in the past. Okay, it's your turn to talk. Tell me what you think down in the comments section. Is the 2023 version of the Honda Pilot LX the best bang for the buck, basically, as far as the different trim levels go? It's very reasonably priced with a lot of features, but what do you ultimately think about that? I'm always interested to receive your feedback. Look forward to reading it in the comments section. I do want to say a special thanks to Holmes Honda for loaning me this Pilot for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel just yet, please consider doing so. And if you would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.